Stop wasting your money on purchases that aren't moving you forward. This is often what separates beginners from pros. It's not necessarily more gear, but the right gear. If you're a colorist or editor looking to upgrade your workspace or workflow, this is the video for you, especially if you're working on a budget. Usually these videos point out gear worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, but in this video, I'm actually going to show you what I use, which is typically gear that's on the lower end, but has made a massive difference in my work. I work as a professional freelance colorist, working mostly on commercials and documentaries, and I've worked with brands like Adidas and Instagram and a whole bunch of amazing international brands. I'm going to show you the gear that has really made a big difference to my workflow, and hopefully that can benefit you as well. Number one, a good mouse. This may seem like a really strange one to begin with, but honestly, a really good mouse is such a huge upgrade to your workflow, especially as a colorist and an editor. But it's really affordable in the bigger scheme of things. This has honestly been a game changer for me, and I didn't even realize how important having a good mouse was. I've been able to be a lot more precise with my pointer, but because I've got more dials and I've got more buttons, I also can just move around the software a lot quicker. This mouse costs around $90, but honestly, any mouse that you can find that has these kind of features is still going to really benefit your workflow. A mouse that is built for productivity and ergonomics is kind of what you're looking for. Something that is weighted as well, because that really helps with those precise movements that you're looking for. And a couple little extra buttons and possibly even a side scrolly. Honestly, those are going to help your workflow so much. The side scroller has been really helpful for navigating on timelines, zooming in, zooming out, using the clips timeline in the color page. It's been such a pleasure having a mouse like this, and I would absolutely recommend. I'm not saying you have to go get this mouse specifically, but these kind of features are really helpful. Number two, investing in education. This is absolutely essential for your growth. And if there are only two investments that you could do out of all of these five, it would be your education as well as DaVinci Resolve Studio. This is because there's only so far you can go by yourself. Look, obviously I'm doing YouTube and teaching people about color grading on YouTube, but there's only so much that you can even teach on YouTube because it's not really a structured learning platform. Recently, I've been taking classes on Skillshare to learn more about storytelling, productivity, and business, all these aspects that are really important for having a successful career as a freelancer. Skillshare is the best place to learn about a creative skill or pick up a new hobby, and it's also really affordable, which really helps with these budget investments. Having a structured platform like this with tons of different teachers and courses has been incredible for someone like me who likes to find new things to learn about all the time. You can learn so much about all the different aspects that go into running a business or being a freelancer or being an editor or whatever it might be, just through this one platform, all with incredible teachers from all over the world who are actual professionals. I learned a lot about productivity from Ali Abdul. I learned a lot about storytelling and a lot about marketing and business. It's been a really great journey for me, and I've enjoyed that. So I just wanted to share that with you as well. And just by the way, the first 500 people to use the referral link down in the description below will get a 1-month free trial to Skillshare. So go and check that out. The first course I ever did changed the way that I graded completely. And honestly, I'm not lying when I say this to you. It took me from being a beginner intermediate to working on a more professional level, because I was hearing from professionals what their workflows are like and how they would actually interact with clients and everything else that you don't really hear about on YouTube, such as client management, such as the actual post-production workflow or the pipeline, so that I know how to receive something from an editor and then conform it. There's so many things that go into this workflow, and teaching, it's kind of boring. I mean, you're probably bored right now just hearing me list all of those things. This is advice that I wish I had earlier on in my career, because investing into your education grows you way more than any gear, anything that's flashy, because your knowledge, your taste is going to outweigh any amazing gear that you have when it comes to getting a client. Number three, DaVinci Resolve Studio. Often people sit on the fence of whether they should get Studio or stick with the free version or stick on Premiere Pro. But I definitely believe that DaVinci Resolve Studio is such an upgrade to your workflow, not only if you're a colorist, also as an editor. So the Studio version costs around $400, which is pretty significant depending on what you do and who you are and how seriously you take this. But if you are looking to become a professional and work on this as your career, it's definitely worth the cost because it's a one-time purchase fee. It's not on a subscription base like Adobe or anything like that. It's really an all-in-one powerhouse, and I couldn't recommend it more. Remember, this is one of the world's top post-production softwares, and is leading the industry in a lot of ways. There are so many tools that you get with the studio version that I use every single day, and because everything's all in one spot and there's so many features, especially the AI features and everything that's just come out with the latest updates, you can't lose out. It's such a good investment into your future career and into your career right now. For the first 3 years of my career, I used the free version and then I upgraded to the studio version, and I could tell the difference instantly, not only in performance, because obviously my computer could render faster and whatnot because of all the optimization, but also just having all those features that I've just mentioned was so incredibly helpful for me to be able to achieve professional work. Number 4, a reference monitor and breakout box. This is definitely going to be the more expensive out of these 5 investments, but definitely well worth your money, especially if you are planning on being a professional colorist. Having a calibrated reference monitor allows you to see way more accurately and color correct and color grade at a professional level. Knowing that you can trust what you're seeing and be confident in the decisions that you're making is so incredibly important when it comes to precise color work. And having a reference monitor that is calibrated and a breakout box is absolutely essential for this. Basically, a reference monitor is a monitor with a lot of color accuracy so that you know that what you're seeing is actually correct and doesn't have any green shifts or magenta shifts or way too much contrast or is way too bright and actually isn't going to hold up when it comes to a professional pipeline. Typically, a good reference monitor will set you back anything from $1,000 to $30,000 plus on the high end. There are so many out there to choose from, and some of the information is not fully correct, so it becomes super confusing and overwhelming. So I'm going to hopefully help you make it easier. What I did was just basically write up a list of things that were non-negotiable to me. And so for me, that list was that it had to be 4K, it had to be true 10-bit color, not 8-bit, not 8-bit plus FRC making it kind of 10-bit, it had to be true 10-bit color. We'll get into that in a little bit. And the last one was that it needed to have a really high contrast ratio. And so I ended up with an OLED which has like 1,000,000 to 1 contrast ratio, which is next level. The only thing that you really need to prioritize is making sure that it's got 10-bit color. And the reason I say this is because if you go with 8-bit color or 8-bit FRC, you're really not getting the full range of color that you actually need to do precise color work. 8-bit color basically is 16.7 million colors is what it can display. 8-bit plus FRC, it will flash 2 colors right next to each other really quickly, so it's imperceptible. It's like a bit of an illusion. And having that doesn't really help you. 10-bit is 1.06 or 07 billion colors that you can now see on this monitor. That just helps so much. You don't have banding. You're not going to think that your color is falling apart where it's actually not falling apart. So having 10-bit is really the biggest thing that you need to go for here. And then obviously making sure that it's color accurate and it can be calibrated to a certain measurement is also important, but we'll get to that just now. To make sure that the monitor that you're looking at is actually 10-bit, use displayspecifications.com. I'll link it in the description, because this will show you all the list of specifications of that model or of that monitor that often these platforms don't actually show you. Let's talk about breakout boxes. A breakout box is basically just something that will bypass your computer's operating system's color management so that you're able to send a clean signal from the breakout box to your reference monitor. Without the breakout box, the reference monitor is still going to be helpful, but they kind of need to go together so that you can get that clean signal. There are a couple different options here. I'm just going to recommend you go with the Blackmagic design breakout box that is going to work for your operating system. So if you're on Windows, you're going to need a Deck Link or something like that. If you're on Mac, you're going to need an Ultra Studio or something like that. I have the Deck Link Mini Monitor 4K. It's really affordable. I can't exactly remember how much it is in dollars, but I got it a long time ago and it still holds really strong. Number 5, a calibration device. This is coming off the back of the last one, so more for colorists or anybody who's doing more precise work. But honestly, if you're color grading just on a regular screen, just for whatever work you're doing, this is really inexpensive, and it's incredibly helpful to have something like this just to make sure that your monitor isn't drifting over time. Because a monitor drifts slowly over time, your eyes actually adjust to that, and then what you're seeing is not actually accurate. And if you're somebody like me, you're going to start second guessing your choices, and you're going to start trying to adjust for that drift. And if you don't know that that drift's happening, you're going to be confused when you color grade something and you export and you watch it on something else and see that it actually doesn't look the same. Or maybe you don't even realize you're sending it off to your clients and they're making comments like it looks too magenta. So this costs 5,000 Rand, which is probably around $300, maybe even less. And they can calibrate pretty much any device besides some of the latest MacBooks. Even if you don't have a reference monitor, I think this is really, really beneficial. I've had this for about 5 years now, and I do it 3 times a year. And having that accessible without having to go pay someone to do it for me is so amazing. And if there's any time that I second guess whether my monitor is accurate or not, I just whip out this and I get going. These are 5 places and 5 ways that I've invested into my career and actually seen the benefit. I'm not just saying go and spend money on this, go and spend money on that because it's cool to have, or I don't know, it's like a small upgrade to your workflow. These are actually big upgrades for a lower price. But if I were to just recommend 2 of these, it would be DaVinci Resolve Studio and your education. Thanks guys, I'll see you in the next one.